Good googly moogly. I feel like it's Christmas here. There's so many boxes. Ah. All right, what we got for you today is the WizMaker Artisan 01. WizMaker, that's a awkward name to say. And what is it? It's a CNC, and we're going to test it out for you today. So what we're going to do today is we're going to review this WizMaker Artisan 01. It's a compact CNC machine, but the first thing I got to do is unpack it. I'm not going to let you sit through everything. We're going to have to unpack it, put it together. I will stop here and there and tell you about it, but if I have any issues, we'll talk about it, and I'll actually tell you how long it takes to put this thing together. So what we're going to do today is we're going to unbox it, we're going to assemble it. I'll tell you how long it takes to assemble it when I'm done. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the machine and what it's capable of, or what they claim it is. Then we'll go through testing it on a few different materials. And when we're done, I'm going to give you 5 pros and 5 cons. And you can make a decision if this is something you really need in your workshop. The first thing we need to do is get this big old thing out of the boxes. All right, so I've got this ready. I've got my timer getting ready to go. And as soon as we hit start, I'll come back and I'll let you know how long it took me to put this all together. It doesn't seem that difficult, but you never know. All right, let's hit this. Well, that took right around 19 minutes right there. That was a lot easier. I even installed the 500 watt spindle, went ahead and jumped over the other one that comes standard with it. Now, I guess it's time for us to check this out. Let me tell you a little bit about it. The bed size is 631 millimeters by 682 millimeters by 424 millimeters. Your workspace is 420 millimeters by 420 millimeters by 90 millimeters. This is the control box which you use to power on the unit and also connect to computers and also your controller. The accessories are hooked up to the back of this at a control access point. You can control the up, down, back, forth, and the Z axis with these 3 knobs. This light on the top helps you direct light directly onto your piece so you can see it a little bit better. The items that you receive with it are the tool setter, engraving tool set, which consists of 0.2 millimeter and 0.4 millimeter bits, an Allen wrench set, a 13 millimeter and 17 millimeter wrench, and then you have the hold down. First thoughts on this machine, it went together really easy. I've got another CNC a while back that you guys never saw the review on. I had such a hard time putting that thing together. It broke wires. I had to put every single wire in. This thing came mostly complete. It only took 19 minutes to put it together. It's very stylish. It's very pretty. It's that gray with the orange here. You can't beat that. Right now I've got the 500 watt spindle on here. It comes with a 300 watt. They upgraded me to the 500 watt so we could test it out. I don't know, it's just a nice looking machine. I didn't damage anything putting it together and it took 19 minutes. You can't beat that. All right, let's go ahead and get something on here and see if we can do a basic cut and maybe a little sign or something and go from there. I want to start off by saying I am by far not an expert on CNCs. I do have a large Gatton CNC with a 4-foot by 4-foot base, but that is totally different than one of these desktop models. Matter of fact, I would consider myself a novice at this. But with my experience with the Gatton, I know what I want in a CNC. Not sure if that's going to relate to a desktop or not. So we're going to check out every piece. We're going to look at the CNC itself. I've already put the 500 watt spindle on there. Then we're going to look at the dust collection and then the vise. I'm going to check out the cutting, see how deep it can go, how fast it can go, see how tough it is. I'm pretty hard on equipment. And when I get done, I'm going to give you 5 pros and 5 cons, and then you can make a decision if this is what you need in your shop. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of wood and I'm going to cut a letter into it, and I'm going to go very deep into it and see how long it takes and see how well it cuts. So the first thing you usually do when you get a CNC is make sure the spoil board is flat. If not, then you surface it and get it flat. I checked this one. It was fairly flat. I didn't have a mechanism to check it with. So what I did is I took the spindle and I brought it down on each corners and in the center and then a few different places and made sure it reached 0 where I'd zeroed it down on one of the corners. See how messy this is. Let me get this cleaned up. Why don't we go ahead and hook up the vacuum system and get this cleaned up. Let's go ahead and put this on here. Now we're going to cut another one right there and see how much is left and test this vacuum out. Alright, it got up all of those wood chips. There they are in there. Nice. Let's see how it did in here. And nothing in there. Pretty good. I like it. I like it. So, wanted to show you this too. Look. These things come off in pieces and they're magnetic. So you can just take it off, put it back on, however you want. So as you saw, it cut really well and it went deep, and I had it at about 100% feed rate. I could bump it up to about 150. I think it'll still be okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to try, just to do something, be able to flip it over. We're going to go ahead and make a bottle opener. So it wasn't perfect. I actually went through it a little bit too deep. Wasn't thinking about the crevice on the underside when I did the letter in there. But these things you can make real easy and probably sell them for like $5 or whatever. Put some resin in there or do a different font. So these things are pretty cool. Now what I want to do, I want to see if it can do some 3D cuts. I don't have any. I got to find some file for this because I've never done this before. So we're going to check it out together and see how it goes. All right, made a little. It actually came out pretty good for a quick 3D project. I like it. Well, I think for my first 3D cut, that went really well. So, I got a ways to go on this. This is a learning curve. That was fun to do, and it didn't take very long for this small one. I want to be able to do something else. I know that they have an eagle that comes with it, but I'm not sure where that's at. It's on the little stick, the thumb drive they give with this, which has a whole bunch of programs and a whole bunch of stuff you can do in there. But what I was using was the clamp, and that thing holds really well. I like that. When I'm having smaller pieces, a lot of time I have to glue them down or tape them down to the spoil board on my larger CNC, and that makes it so I don't. It just held it perfectly fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take one of these black dog tags and we're going to see if we can do some engraving on it with one of the engraving bits. Now, I've never engraved on the metal before, but that was kind of neat. I'm not sure if you can see that. It came out all right. I think I got a little bit of ways to go to figure out how to make it look nice or what I can do, maybe engrave brass plates for things and stuff like that. But yeah, it actually engraved pretty well. It's time for me to give you 5 pros and 5 cons. We're going to start off with the cons because I always like to keep you on a positive note when we leave the video. My first con is a shortcoming on my side, and that's my technical ability with computers and stuff like that. You have to be able to use a computer, a program, and figure out how to use this thing. It is not for a beginner unless you've done your studies. Just remember, if you are going to buy this machine, you have to have the programs. You have to have a design program, you have to have a CNC control program, and you need to know how to use them. I have those things because I have the larger Gatton CNC, but I still had a large learning curve on this one. Number 2, you have to have a dedicated space for this desktop CNC. And I know what you're saying, I've got the Gatton CNC, it's on its own table, it's in the middle of my shop, but with this desktop, I need to find a location in my shop that I can put it there. You don't want to put a lot of stuff on it, you don't want it to be cluttered, you want it to be available. And with that, it has to be next to my computer so I can run it. So number 3 is going to be both a pro and a con, but we'll talk about the con side, and that's the cost. And I'm not talking about the cost of the machine, I'm talking about the cost of the pieces with it. You have to get bits for this, and they are not cheap. Look, I paid $58 for about a dozen bits. You're going to have to need extra bits because they will break. You need to have some on hand just in case. I've noticed that every hobby that I have has a rabbit hole, and going down that rabbit hole costs a lot of money. Con number 4, this thing is small. It's a desktop CNC. I can hog out a bunch of material on my Dave Gatton CNC, but on this one, it really takes some time. I could bump up the feed rate to 150%, but you're still having to use a 1/8 inch bit. In the last con I have, there are no videos on how to use this machine. I'm hopeful that WizMaker in the future will do some instructional videos to put on their website. This will help beginner users figure out how to use this. That is all of my cons for this machine. Let's go ahead and head on to the pros. So the first pro I have is programs. I know I talked a little bit about it in the cons, but let me tell you, there are a lot of free programs for designing and use of a CNC. And this machine, you can use a lot of them. In this video, I used G-Sender to send it to the machine, and it worked beautifully. They supply a program called Candle. I had a little hard time with it and getting the right files to work with it, so I moved over to G-Sender, which was a lot more user-friendly. My number 2 pro is the price of this thing. All in with everything I used here, not to include the 4th axis, which you haven't seen yet, but that included, was only $1,000. You can be up and running with $1,000 using free programs on the computer to run it and design stuff. My number 3 pro for this, it was super easy to put together. I was shocked how easy it was. When they approached me about this video, I had already put together another desktop CNC about 3 years ago, and it's still sitting down there and it doesn't work. I was really scared that I wasn't going to be able to put it together, but 19 minutes just to hook it all up, and I didn't do any damage to it like I did the other one. The 4th pro I have on this is it's going to get you into the CNC world. And I know I said it's not for beginners, but if you have any kind of technical skills, you can figure this out. If you're able to figure out programs, you'll be able to use this. It just has a slight learning curve. My number 5 pro for this machine has to be that Cyclone vacuum system. That thing is amazing. Not a speck of dust on the finished product when I used it. Now I know you saw a bunch of cutting without it, and I was just doing that just for the camera so you could see it. Normally I have that dust shoe on, and like I said, it worked great. Well, that's it. That's my 5 pros and 5 cons. My final thoughts on this machine: I think it's well worth $1,000 with all the pieces to it. It's also $600 if you just get the CNC without everything else. And I know I said I was going to give you 5 pros, but let me give you one more bonus pro. This machine can be upgraded to the 1/4-inch collet. That means you can use 1/4-inch bits where you can hog out more and you can get stuff done faster. Well, it's time for me to head on back over to the Artisan 01 and check it out. If you have any questions or any comments, head on down to the comments section and leave them there. Look in my description. I've got a couple of links there if you want to check out the machine. And until next video, stay cool.